who's been around this sport, it is a hard thing to do to come in and win right away.
Oh, absolutely. There's so many things stacked against you. Every other coach obviously trying to win too. It's a tough environment. You've got to be great, and Coach Leggins has been that.
Coach Leggins has got experience against SU head coach Todd Simon, 7-3 all time against the Thunderbirds front man, and we are set for tip-off. The starting lineups: Moses Wood, Tyler Robertson, Chris Austin, Christian Sholin, and Chika Nduka. Just one of them, Tyler Robertson, a transfer from Eastern Washington who came with Coach Leggins to Portland. For Southern Utah, John Knight, Dre Marine, who's been red hot shooting the ball, 7 of his last 12 from beyond the arc. Mason Fawcett, Jason Spurgeon, and Harrison Butler. And Spurgeon wins the toss. Southern Utah in the retro unis, the old school calligraphy. And we're underway with round 3 of the Basketball Classic.
SUU's gone classic a few times this year. They went to old school colors a couple of times, old school jerseys tonight.
Butler's first look of the night, he buries a 3. A 31% three-point shooter is on the board. Tevian Jones out for the year with a broken wrist, suffered in the third to last regular season game against Montana State. They need guys like Harrison Butler to step up.
Butler hit a huge 3 to help SUU beat Kent State a week or two ago here in that first round of the Basketball Classic, and gets things started tonight for the T-Birds.
4th all-time meeting between Portland and Southern Utah. The last was 2013, a convincing victory for the Pilots. The Thunderbirds haven't beaten Portland as a program since 1997, the only time these two squads met here in Cedar City. 7 to shoot for John Knight III. Fawcett a mismatch with Austin. Butler, does he have 2 in a row? And Sholin collects the rebound.
It was right in line. We could see that well, but short.
And Nduka, the only non-transfer in the starting lineup for Portland this year, and head coach Chauncey Leggins.
John Knight averages 2 steals a game, just about got one there for the T-Birds.
And Nduka launches, and Butler's got the rebound, one of the 2 best all time in SUU history. Fans want Knight to shoot that, but just 7 made 3s on the year. He hits a fall away for his first shot, and 2 made buckets for the Thunderbirds here at home is a good sign for the best offense in the Big Sky.
Knight's not a horrible three-point shooter, almost 32%, but he knows his bread and butter is when he can get closer to the basket, he's almost unstoppable.
Austin and Marine, the little guys on the court, going at it, and a travel is the first turnover of the game for Portland. They average about 13 per. That was 8th in the WCC this year. But we were talking about the turnaround Coach Leggins has done on this program. 7-7 in the regular season against WCC opponents. They had won 1 in the previous 3 years under Terry Porter. There were 1-42 against conference foes.
And there's no questioning like how well he did at Eastern Washington. You could see why Portland wanted to bring him in and lured him away from Cheney.
Butler, Knight, and Fawcett have all hit their first shots for SUU. Portland, meanwhile, is not on the scoreboard.
We mentioned SUU winning. They've got a couple of wins in this in the first 2 rounds of this tournament. And one thing that I think they've done so much better since losing to Portland State in that second round of the Big Sky tournament, they just did not move the ball well. They were trying to figure things out without Tevian Jones, but these last couple of games, the assists have gone up. They're passing the ball better, and that's opened things up for each other.
Already 2 assists on their first 3 made shots in this one. Fawcett, a good late contest from Austin. Knight fires. Fans are hoping that that would count, but hits the top of the backboard, and so Portland gets a stop. That just the 23rd three-point shot attempt from John Knight III all season long. The Utah State transfer, 14.5 points a game, does most of his damage inside.
And there he pokes one away.
There he comes with athleticism, pinned off the glass, and it's a goaltend. Moses Wood thought he had it clean. Chauncey Leggins thought so as well. Instead, Knight has got 4 points here in the early going, and it's a 9-0 spurt for the T-Birds.
SUU showing some great effort, and a lot of times their effort on defense translates into offense, which they got right there.
Looked like that ball might have just nicked the backboard before Wood was able to get a hand on it. Foul is called here on Trey Marine. First personal foul, first team foul on the redshirt senior from Glendale, the most career games played in Big Sky Conference history, and he has been on a heater shooting the ball in the last couple games.
Oh yeah, that 28-point career high in the win over Kent State. And then he had another great night. Nick Fleming kind of stole the spotlight at UTEP, but Marine had a great night as well.
Had 17 points on 6 of 9 shooting. Thunderbirds have still held the Pilots off the scoreboard 3.5 minutes into the ball game. Oh. And Knight put his ankle right on the line. Referee right on top of it. And that's Levon Zakarian on the call. Chad Shepard and Justin Shamian are other referees here this evening. And so the Thunderbirds with their first turnover of the game.
If we had the replay and you could try to, the different angles like on the NFL games and see if you can see any brown underneath the shoe. It was real close, but the official right on top of that, Knight was on that sideline.
Who will break the ice for Portland? Wood misses again. Robertson leads the team in rebounds and gets his team a second chance. Next stoppage will be the under 16. Portland hoping they'll have a number other than 0 on the scoreboard by then. Robertson has a couple inches on Knight, but leaves it short. Knight saves it back in, and it's a kick ball against Portland. 4 minutes and change gone by. The Thunderbirds defense, the story. Portland 0 for 6 from the floor. 9-0 Thunderbirds in the quarterfinals of the Basketball Classic when we come back. The SU offense would be one of the biggest tasks in this game, and thus far the Thunderbirds 4 of 6 from the floor.
2 assists for SU early on. Harrison Butler got it started early with that 3 on the first shot attempt of the game, and for a team that averages 78.5 points per game, they're at home. That's what SU wants to do, right, is just put up points.
They average 78.5 per contest. That is top 25 nationally in the country. Portland, meanwhile, just a touch under 75. But 19 wins this year for Portland. Their first season above 500 since the 2014-15 campaign. They just feel completely revitalized as a program. 7 transfers certainly helping the Pilots this season.
Right, and the 3 that Coach Leggins brought with him from Eastern Washington, plus a few others. They got a lot of foreign guys, but boy, this is a good squad they've put together.
7 international players and 7 transfers. 8 to shoot. Butler on the drive, kicks it out. Marine, first look, first make. Trey Marine has been lava hot the last couple of games, shooting 56% from beyond the arc in his last 3 coming in, and he makes his first 3-point attempt of the night.
He's had a different energy these last 3 games, and it's been so fun to watch him just shoot the lights out, and look at his defensive effort.
Chris Austin finally puts the Pilots on the board, and it's a 10-point lead for the Thunderbirds. Spurgeon had a size mismatch there. Butler misses the 3. Fawcett the offensive rebound and put back. Few guys in the Big Sky crash the offensive boards as hard as Mason Fawcett, and the lead goes back up to 12.
And Fawcett's so efficient. He's a pretty good shooter from outside, also 50% from inside the arc, and made that one work.
Harrison Butler is called for a foul as Moses Wood backs him down. Wood, the 6'8" redshirt sophomore, started his college career at Tulane, then went to UNLV before coming over to Portland, and that's just a more common thing nowadays in college sports, guys being journeymen in their careers.
Oh, right, yeah. And you used to see that a little bit more with like graduate players, and Portland has one of those, but you see it more and more with that transfer portal opening up.
And Duca is on the board with his first points, averages 7.5 and just under 6 rebounds a game.
We mentioned SUU hitting or scoring 78.5 points per game, and Portland, no slouch, 74.5. They score a lot of points as well and shoot the ball well.
Spurgeon attacks and finishes. How about the big man from Australia putting it on the floor? A lot of international flavor on this court tonight. Spurgeon, one of 3 Australians out there, as Knight fouls Tyler Robertson for the 3rd team foul, his first personal. But guys from all over the place. 2 international players on SUU. Parsifala hasn't played this year, got to the team in the middle of the season, but plenty of guys from overseas here in Cedar City, Utah tonight. And Duca kicks out. Austin, nylon on the triple. The first 3 of the game for Portland. They shoot at 35% from beyond the arc as a team. Not bad in a stout WCC conference that set 3 teams to the big dance.
And Austin, a 31% three-point shooter, but found his stroke.
Speaking of guys who have found their strokes of late, Dre Marine gives it up. Knight wants to go. Double team comes. Fawcett, 3-ball, corner pocket. Southern Utah offense staying hot. They're 8 of 11. Fawcett with his first triple. He had been 3 of his last 17 from beyond the arc. Maybe that'll get him going. Austin right over Marine, kisses it off the glass. A pretty shot there from Chris Austin, the Fordham transfer, with a couple of buckets.
You've got a couple size mismatches, and Austin taking advantage of one of those. He's listed at 6'4", Marine at 6 foot. That's a 4-inch advantage that Austin's been able to take advantage with a couple of buckets.
Marine looking for a shot, but Portland on top of him. Knight at the free throw line puts it down. Thunderbirds have shot at 56% through 2 games in this tournament, showing no signs of letting up now. And Duca loses it on the floor. 3rd turnover of the game for the Pilots. Butler drops it off beautifully for Fawcett, serving it up on a silver platter, and the lead is 14.
Boy, if you weren't paying attention, it looked like Butler just dropped the ball in the middle of nowhere, but he set that up, pushing the tempo. Fawcett cut at the perfect time to come in, grab that pass, and finish.
The bank is open today, might close tomorrow, but Robertson gets his first points of the ball game, averages just under 15 a game. The leading scorer for Portland has to get things going if they're going to come back. Butler very nearly was able to pull back. Knight pulls again and hits again. We have seen John Knight this year pass on that shot pretty often, but he looks as confident as ever. He's got 8 points.
T-Birds feeling good, shooting 78.6% from the floor. They're 11 of 14 so far.
And Duca, just his 15th three-point attempt of the year, and he knocks down his 4th triple of the season. Doesn't shoot them often, but the freshman from Seattle has got 3 points and 7 on the game.
And the T-Birds, looking at the scouting report, just thought, hey, we can leave him open out there. He only hits 21%, but he makes them pay for leaving him open.
Spurgeon down low, trying to find a pass. Portland defends it well. It's Thunderbird basketball. That'll take us to a pause. SUU is up 11. Portland starting to hit some shots, hanging around. Fresno State awaits the winner back in Cedar City in a moment. Thunderbird offense shooting it a scorching 78.6% from the floor. And that's how they've got this 11-point lead in the quarterfinals of the Basketball Classic. Spencer McLaughlin, Ryan Steinecker with you inside the America First Event Center. I don't know how many things you could say about the Southern Utah offense other than they're hitting shots and moving the ball really well.
Yeah, 5 assists on 11 made shots. That's phenomenal, and just 2 turnovers. And you look at Portland's stats and you go, well, they're shooting 50%. They've got 3 or 4 assists. They've hit 2 of 4 from 3. How are they down 11? Well, look at SUU's numbers.
Thunderbirds 11 of 14 from the floor, 3 of 6 from distance. Knight has 8, Fawcett has got 9. Those two have combined 8 of 9 from the field. And it has been such a fluid togetherness that Todd Simon's team has shown here, and they're really doing a good job as well of just taking what the Portland defense is giving them.
Oh, yeah. They've been patient, smart. They're working together well. And going back to that, right there, John Knight III on the replay, taking shots given to him, and he's almost money from inside the paint, inside the arc, 53% shooter.
Well, the offense is hot. Todd Simon makes a couple substitutions, sends in Oned Moody and Nick Fleming, who had a career-high 18 points last round in the win against UTEP down in El Paso. Coach Leggins frustrated with how his team executed this set out of the timeout. They've got 10 to shoot. Robertson has a few inches on Fleming, passes off to Wood. Gotta go up with it off of 1 foot. Grazes the front iron.
You mentioned Robertson's advantage of size over Fleming. The T-Birds had John Knight III guarding him earlier. He had an advantage over him, but just still hasn't managed to find the bottom of the net but once.
Fleming, 13 first half points in El Paso, sets up Moody, who is now one of his last 14 from beyond the arc. A guy who's a 42% three-point shooter this year. He is in a funk the likes of which you just don't think is possible for a guy that talented.
You got to get him keep shooting, though, and at some point, shooter's got to shoot, right? And he'll get that confidence back, and who knows, he may hit 4, 5, 6 in a row at some point.
Scholand has missed all 3 of his three-point attempts early in this game as we're past the midway point of half number 1. Spurgeon has a few inches on Nduka, backs him down, little wraparound, slips it to Butler, who's met at the summit by Scholand.
Well, Scholand with those long arms, what a block, because Harrison Butler is a strong dude, and Scholand met him muscle for muscle.
First personal foul against Nick Fleming, 4th team foul, as Portland makes a substitution and sends Matias Fedozarevic into the game, the freshman from Serbia. He's right in, he fires.
That's sometimes a tough thing to come off the bench and put up a shot real quick, and Fedozarevic didn't quite find the stroke just yet.
Fleming looking to keep it going from the momentum he had offensively down in UTEP. Moody gets it back with 8, wheels, floats, hits. Maybe that will get the sharpshooter going as he works his way inside. And the lead for Southern Utah, a baker's dozen.
And there you see the touch from Oned Moody, and he does so many good things happen when he's aggressive and can attack, sometimes finishing like that time, other times finding teammates.
Harrison Butler has picked up his 2nd foul. So Knight will check into the game for Butler. 5th team foul, no free throws yet. And Todd Simon was not thrilled about that call against his senior from Mater Dei High School in California, who heads to the bench with a pair of fouls. Next stoppage will be the under 8, and Duca can't connect this time as Portland's trying to just get the deficit back under 10. Southern Utah can add to it here. Fedozarevic defends Moody very well in that sequence. Steps back, fall away. And Duca the board.
And that fall away just enough to take off of his shot for Oned Moody that it came up short.
Austin turns around on Moody, and he has 9 points. The only pilot to not miss a shot from the floor is also the same guy who's got half of Portland's total on the scoreboard.
I've been impressed with Austin. He squares his body, sets his feet well, and then he fades away from the defense or fades left or right. It reminds me a little bit of what you'd see from like the greats like Michael Jordan or Kobe, where they square those feet to get a good base.
Fleming testing the range from distance. Portland can get it back to single digits. Wood off of 1 foot gets the soft roll. And it's a 9-point game with inside of 7 to play here in Cedar City in the first half.
SUU has cooled off, shooting just 63%, down from almost 77. And that's allowed Portland back in.
Here goes Fawcett. He's fouled by Austin. And Coach Leggins ensconced with his redshirt sophomore guard who committed a foul that he didn't need to. Mason Fawcett down in a heap. We'll check on him as he grabs at his shoulder. Not what you want to see when we come back. Mason Fawcett was helped back to the bench by a member of the SUU training staff. We'll see if he is able to come back out onto the court. But Chris Austin went soaring up as high as he possibly could for that block ride, came down right on Fawcett's right shoulder, and he was keeping that right arm tight to his chest as he walked back to the huddle. Yeah, he was on the floor for quite a while, looked to be in some serious pain, got up and walked off. Though I guess if you look for something good about it, he didn't head straight to the locker room, and we'll, for SUU fans, hope that he sticks around and gets back into the game. And Coach Leggins was not happy with Austin. It looked like he was going to send to the bench because Portland there had played pretty good defense, but ultimately ended up fouling kind of late in the shot clock when Mason Fawcett was going to shoot through 2 or 3 black jerseys. Right, yeah, they had a good defensive setup down there, and it would have been a tough shot for Fawcett, but as it is, SU will get a couple of free throws. And that's also Austin's second foul, so that doesn't help the team. They did review it at the monitor, and the referees determined it was a common foul, which from where we're sitting looked to have been the right call. Nothing malicious or unnecessary, just came down on the wrong spot. But because a trainer came out to look at him, Fawcett has to come out of the game and cannot shoot the free throws, so it'll be John Knight to shoot 2. I think Coach Leggins is making sure that he's not going to be able to pick a guy off the end of the bench, but that's a rule that changed recently in college basketball, I think appropriately. Just keeping an eye on Mason Fawcett over there. He started to move his shoulder, had a trainer help him move it up. Now he's got ice on it, and I see him just kind of moving it around a little bit. So Coach Leggins does get to choose a player, but it had to be one of the other 4 who was on the court for Southern Utah. Justin Shamian keeping us in the loop right there. And Knight, who had been 10 for his last 20 at the line, makes a pair. He was the worst free throw shooter of anybody on the court at the time, so it's an 11-point lead once again for Southern Utah. It's been as large as 14. They have not trailed here in the first half. Great defense. Silveda turns around and hucks up an air ball. Marquise Moore in for the injured Mason Fawcett. Secures the rebound. And Jason Spurgeon stayed home, didn't leave his feet. That's textbook defense right there from the Australian. Going back to those free throws by John Knight, is he aware of that the coach said, well, he's the worst free throw shooter, put him at the line? That's exactly what they did, and what Southern Utah does here is feed the big man to make it a 31-18 advantage. Spurgeon with 4 points. Knight pokes it free, Spurgeon diving on the deck. Jump ball, possession arrow favors Portland. But Knight has done that a couple times where he sort of lets a defender go by and then knocks it away from behind. I've done that a few times too because I'm slow and the guy just gets by me. It's not that I let him by, it's because he's faster than me. But Knight executed a lot better than I ever have. I always try to do it, but I'm not able to reach with my stubby little arms. Austin right over Moody again. This time misses, but no box out. And Chris Austin takes advantage. He's the first pilot into double figures with 11. Single-handedly keeping Portland in this game here in half number 1. Moody looking for room. Knight put his hand on the ball. No, they say he carried it. And he was indecisive about whether he would pull up for the jump shot, which is surprising because he's made every jump shot he's put up tonight. Yeah, I think he saw some space open, but then thought maybe I can get closer, get a better look, or make something bigger happen, and just carried the ball. He's missed the 1-3, but is perfect from the mid-range. Marie hounds Wood all the way up the court as Portland tries to make it a single-digit deficit again. This is a good guy to give the ball to. Just keep feeding Chris Austin and get out of his way. The Fordham transfers got 13. He averages 14 a game. And where would the Pilots be in this moment without him? Austin, a 42% shooter this season so far tonight. 6 of 7, plus 1 for 1 from beyond the arc. He is on fire. Marquise Moore, side pocket three, nylon. And he's got some words for the Portland bench, and he is teed up for it. Oh, he made a gesture celebrating the bucket towards the bench. It didn't look like it was anything graphic, just sort of letting them know that he buried a three right in front of him.
All 5 T-Bird teammates were over there saying, no, 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 this is a team thing. It's nothing malicious.
He just looked at the bench and pointed at him, and that's enough. So Robertson gets to go to the line, and it's an 11-point game with 4.5 to go here in half number 1. Todd Simon still doesn't like it. He's conversing with Levon Zakarian right now. That's a pretty quick whistle on the technical.
It was, and maybe there was something seen that we didn't see, but to me it looked like just the 3 fingers out there and point that at the bench, but must have been something else.
Maybe just wanting to keep a lid on things and not let them get out of control. Robertson feeling good after being at the line a moment ago. Good defender in John Knight, but he hits anyway. Tyler Robertson starting to get things rolling. He's got 6 points, and it's a 9-point game again. Last 3 times it's been here, SUU has answered with a bucket.
How about the arch on that shot by Robertson to get it up over the defense and straight down through the net?
This is a charge right now, and no one in this building can believe it. And it takes us to our final media timeout of the half. 34-25 Spurgeon. Well, he's outside the restricted area. They say Robertson was set. And the fans, of course, disagree. They'll have to dwell on it over the break. Now, they've made a score correction, and that is correct what you're seeing, 34-26. And Southern Utah has led by as many as 14 points. On a handful of occasions, they have led by double digits. But right now, Ryan, it feels like the momentum could very easily shift the other way with that charge call on the previous side of the timeout.
Yeah, the charge call right after the technical call against SUU, and a technical sometimes can have that effect to swing momentum one way or the other, and sometimes coaches will purposely get a technical to try to fire up the team and get things going, but that's certainly not the case tonight. SUU's at a pivotal moment right here, especially for the rest of this first half, 3:58 left.
Yeah, so Moore hits the 3, then you have 2 technical free throws that Robertson knocks down, who then gets going with a fall away to hit a bucket, and then instead of Southern Utah having a chance to score inside, it's a charge going the other way, and it just feels like this is one of those pivotal moments where Portland can get themselves to a game reset, which is what they need after the Thunderbirds made 11 of their first 14 shots. They're just 3 for their last 7, but have had a couple turnovers as well. Robertson, Scholand, Austin, Yaru Harvey in for the first time, and Chika Nduka, the 5 for Portland, and head coach Shante Leggins. Austin inside, he's fouled. He'll go to the line for a couple shots, so more chances to score for Portland. Todd Simon again disagrees with the call. How about the fine for Nduka? Boy, that's a lot of ball there from Dre Marine.
And the fans saw the replay up on the big screen. They didn't agree with it the second time either, but what a play setup. Austin popping out in the left corner, then Robertson passed it off, sets the screen to free up Robertson, who cut back toward the hoop, and that was a nice little play setup.
Austin, a 76% foul shooter this season, has got 14 points, looking to surpass his season average and get to 15 here in half number 1. He has almost single-handedly kept the Pilots around, and they are very much alive. What was a 14-point lead is down to 6.
And scoring, of course, nothing new for Chris Austin. Averaged 24 points per game in high school as a senior, and of course 14 points per game here at Portland.
And SUU turns it over. Offensive foul the other way. Todd Simon loves the call. as Spurgeon squares up to take the charge, and the Thunderbirds feel that that's retribution for the earlier call. Oh, that looks like
that
you
looked
can
like
call
good
that
defense.
a charge.
Robertson kind of lowered that shoulder and then threw out the elbow just enough. It looked like the right call from here.
3 guards on the court for Todd Simon and the T-Birds, Moody, Knight, and Fleming. Moore has 1 3 in this game. And the Pilots could make it a 1-possession game with a 3. They missed their first 6 shots of this one. But they have rebounded in a big way. Wood turns on Moore. Spurgeon, out of a crowd, has the rebound.
Great defense by Moore in there. Just the physicality, and then at the right time backed off a little bit.
Nick Fleming from beyond the arc makes sure to celebrate with his own fans this time. And the lead goes back to 9. Scholand falls away, Nowitzki style on Spurgeon, and shaves off a part of the front iron. Fleming coming again, offensive foul. And the hands, predictably, are back on the head of SUU head coach Todd Simon. I see how you can call that one too. But Fleming frustrated because he's trying to spin away from the contact, anticipating that play.
But that, again, looked like the right call from these officials. The defender had his spot. Fleming spun into that defender's position.
Robertson slips it to Nduka, who goes up over Spurgeon. No foul. Now Shante Leggins is in the surrender Cobra position. Moore tries again. He's fouled. No complaints from Christian Scholand. And Marquise Moore will go to the free throw line for 3 shots. He has not attempted a free throw since January 27th at Portland State.
Wow. Scholand, after contesting the shot, making the contact, I looked down, and for just a fraction of the second, he had a look on his face like, oh, not going to blow the oh, shoot, there's the whistle. He thought he got away with it for just a second.
68% foul shooter on the year is Marquise Moore, who has a triple in this game, his first since early February, but seeing an extended run with the injury to Mason Fawcett. Nick Fleming forgot where
Three
his
free.
He either forgot how to count full on Dark Knight style, or he didn't realize his teammate was behind the line.
There are 3 types of people in this world: those who know how to count and those who don't.
Yeah. You had me on that one.
What's the third? What's the third?
Inside of 2 to go. 10-point edge for the Thunderbirds. Moses Wood hits his second field goal. He's got 4 points.
Well, and he may have been fouled on that shot. I think he thought he was, but what a touch on the sky hook from Wood. Those 6'8" frame, the long arms, nobody can block that kind of shot.
Fleming thinks about it. Moore launches again, puts it in. How about Marquise Moore stepping up for an injured teammate and producing at a high level?
Yeah, and you got to love the pass from Nick Fleming. He set that up, saw Moore across court, lots of space, was able to penetrate enough to set up the pass. Fleming had no thought of shooting that ball. He was driving to set up Moore.
Thunderbird fans upset at the blocking foul called on Anin Moody.
Boy, that's a tough one.
That's a tough call to make.
That's the type of call I'm glad I'm not the one making it.
And you have to call it in the moment. That's what's tough. This is double bonus. But the thing about it, Ryan, is Moody's in a decent position, not necessarily trying to take the charge, but he's also not fully set.
Right.
And that's the interchange that referees have to deal with. That's what makes that call so tough.
And how about Austin hitting from everywhere, sinks 2 free throws.
He's up to 17 points, a game high.
He's missed just 1 shot in this game.
6 of 7 from the floor. Knight rolling it up the court. You don't see that often with a team that has a 9-point lead, but SU wants to go 2 for 1. Marquise Moore wants another 3, you bet. Moore matches his season high, 10 points here in the first half.
He came in shooting just 25% from 3, and in this game 2 for 3 from beyond the arc.
Here goes Robertson. Can't get the roll. 13-second difference, shot clock and game clock, call it 12 and a half. Have to imagine Todd Simon wants to run this one down, and he does. And he will call a timeout to talk things over. We will keep it here inside the America First Event Center. Spencer McLaughlin, Ryan Steinekert with you. It's a 12-point lead that has been as large as 14. And how about Marquise Moore? You talk about next man up. He is personifying that here tonight. Big
time, and the T-Birds passing the ball so well. You saw Knight attack, then knew he wanted to dish it right back out to Moore, and that attack drew the defender in, opened the shot for Marquise Moore, who's taken advantage, and I misspoke earlier. I said 2 for 3. He's 3 for 4 from beyond the arc tonight.
7 triples in the first half for a Thunderbird team that averages just about 8.5 per game. They only shoot it at about 35% this season, but they are 7 of 14. And with the way that they can score inside and in the mid-range as well, with the depth that they have, without their leading scorer, Tevian Jones, or another 12-point-a-game scorer in Mason Fawcett, just showing you why this team led the conference in the Big Sky in scoring this year.
Speaking of Mason Fawcett, he's not on the bench currently. I think I saw him go down toward the locker room earlier, and we'll again wait to see if he comes back out, a little shoulder injury.
Fleming brings it across with 10. Spurgeon will set the screen. Knight hasn't missed a 2-point jumper yet.
I love the effort from Knight, too. He thought that was a little short coming out of his hand, so he followed the shot.
Portland calls a timeout. Head coach Shante Leggins wants to talk it over. Can't take him with you. No. Might as well use him.
Might as well. We talked, I don't know, was it 4 minutes ago at the 3:58 mark? It was a pivotal moment. SUU had committed the technical foul, gave up a bucket, and then gave up another bucket, or had the charge happen on Jason Spurgeon. And how would they respond? Look how they've responded in these last couple minutes.
A team that has 9 seniors on it, 8 transfers, 7 underclassmen, has shown the veteran poise in the last couple of games. They have been mighty sharp against a Kent State team that very nearly went dancing. Instead, they saw Akron get the first round 13 seed bid against UCLA, who lost a heck of a game yesterday to North Carolina in the Sweet 16, but Southern Utah knocked them off, then beat UTEP 82-69, a game that they really controlled through and through on the road in El Paso. Here they are back at home, picking up where they left off.
Yeah, and in that game at UTEP, they started strong, started hot. They've done that again tonight against the Pilots.
Just under 7 seconds for Portland. Nduka, Wood, back to Nduka. Little bunny, drops it through. And a good way to end the half for Portland, who trail by 12, 46-34. Your halftime score. Southern Utah carries a lead into half. The winner gets Fresno State in the semifinals of the Basketball Classic. More quarterfinal action when we return.
And unfortunately, that happened in the Big Sky tournament when they lost to Portland State. But since then, they've worked better as a team. They've shared the ball better. They're finding open teammates for high percentage shots. And you know, not to say it's a better style of basketball than when Jones was there, because you can't argue. I mean, without a guy like Tevian Jones, you're not as good. You know, you don't have as much talent on the floor, but the team work has been a little better.
Now looking to the second half of this game, what does Portland have to do defensively to try to slow these scorching hot Thunderbirds?
Well, they've got to stop penetration. Each time, or a lot of the times that SUU has gotten those open looks from outside, is because guys like Fleming or Knight or others are getting penetration, and then they kick it back outside. And Harrison Butler's done that too. Get the penetration, kick it out to a guy in the corner or on the perimeter for the open look. So Portland's got to stop that penetration. That'll stop needing that help defense, which opens up that shooter from the outside.
Shante Leggins is 7-3 in his career against Todd Simon head-to-head during his 4 years as the head coach of the Eagles of Eastern Washington. And to get win number 8 against the Thunderbirds' 6-year head coach, he will have to come back from a 12-point deficit. Mason Fawcett is back on the bench, but not on the court. Marquise Moore replaces him, standing right in front of us to my left with Dre Marine, John Knight, Jason Spurgeon, and Harrison Butler, the 5 out there. And the Thunderbirds in the retro jerseys, ready to go here in half number 2 in the quarterfinals of the Basketball Classic. The winner gets Fresno State in the next round. Knight is fouled by Scholand. Second time that he has fouled a shooter and known that it was a foul, and also the second time he thought for just a half second, I could get away with it.
What ball movement and movement without the ball. John Knight moving around and getting himself underneath the hoop. They got a screen from up top, and again, there's that good teamwork, good ball movement that opens up a good look.
Well, without Tevian Jones, John Knight has had to step up. 14.5 per game, has scored in double figures in 9 straight, as he is up to 14 today and looking as confident as we have seen him all season long at the free throw line right there.
And he's the type of guy that you give him a challenge, he's going to find a way to get up for that challenge.
Austin runs down Marine, going the other way. Offensive foul. Justin Shamian, the head referee here this evening in Cedar City, calling it the other way, and that has been a common occurrence. Blocks and charges have been plentiful in this one.
We've seen a lot of those tonight, and that one interesting because, again, Marine didn't necessarily beat Austin to the spot, but Marine saw that shoulder get lowered by Austin and just set up to take that charge.
That's the first 2-point shot that John Knight III has missed in this ball game. Portland the other way. This matches what has been their largest deficit of the game. Look at the defense from Knight up top, hounding Robertson, who's trying to give it up. The crowd loves the effort from the redshirt senior. Marine denies Wood, and Duca has 1 3 in this game. Make it 2. Came in 3 of 14 from beyond the arc. He's 2 of 2.
Scouting report says if he wants to shoot outside, you can test, but you don't worry about it too much. And Duca says, no, you're going to have to change that scouting report.
Blocking foul called here against Chris Austin. That's his 4th personal foul. So the game's leading scorer is staying on the court with 4 fouls, and if you're Southern Utah, you have to go right at number 5.
Yeah, and he's defending Harrison Butler, who's good at penetration. He can also back in. He's got a lot of strength.
And here is the aforementioned matchup. The double team comes wisely for the Pilots. Knight directing traffic. Not a whole lot doing here for SUU on this possession. Marine, tough shot. Scholand the board. Chance to get it to single digits for Portland. They trailed by 14 in the first half, got it down to 6. SUU ballooned it back up.
And there's a huge size mismatch as Marine is guarding Moses Wood, who's listed at 6'8".
Here is that mismatch, but Wood gives off. Scholand hasn't gotten it going yet. Too strong on the 3. Wood the board, quick trigger. Shante Leggins wanted a foul as Nduka went down in a heap. This is 5-on-4, but Southern Utah can't go quick enough. Moore hits again. Marquise Moore with his 4th triple, a career high. He's got 13, and it's a 14-point edge. Timeout on the floor. Portland looking for answers. Marquise Moore giving them all they can handle. Marquise Moore, the story for Southern Utah, had not made a 3 since February 12th at Sac State. He's got 4 in this one and a season-high 13 points.
Every time you see him shoot this year, he shoots with the confidence of a 44% three-point shooter. He was shooting 25% before this game.
He's got the rebound here. And the Thunderbirds looking to add to a big lead. Spurgeon and Nduka. Good defense there by the freshman. Nduka barely evades a turnover. Wood launches, and the Pilots are ice cold from beyond the arc.
3 of 10 in the game with that miss.
They've missed their last 4 looks from downtown. They've had no answers for number 24. This time they send 3 jerseys at him, knocked out of bounds, stays at this end. And I suppose that's one way to slow a hot shooter down, is put 3 guys on him.
3 defenders, and he did what he needed to do. Try to find somebody else. It just wasn't necessarily the right guy. Dangerous pass across the bottom of the lane.
How do you leave that guy open? Spurgeon almost tomahawks it home. Fans wanted a foul, did not get it. Robertson, a pump fake. And Moore knocks it out of bounds. And he missed that look, but if you're the Pilots, how in the world do you leave number 24 unchecked in the corner?
He was just left all alone out there. I don't know how you do that. There's just a mismatch or some kind of somebody missing their assignment.
Knight leads the conference in steals, almost had another. Robertson and Butler, good matchup here. Butler forces the pass. Robertson gonna have to go with 5. Finds some space and rattles the cage for 2.
Robertson smooth, composed, just put that up right before the buzzer.
Butler wants to post up at the other end. He does, takes some contact and flexes on the Pilots as he's got 2 points. Look at Moore racing back. Looking like Ed Reed out there. The former Ravens safety would be proud. Thunderbird fans proud of the effort their team is putting out. Up 14 in the quarterfinals of the Basketball Classic. The halftime margin was 12. Southern Utah has matched their largest lead with a 14-point edge over the Portland Pilots. A WCC Big Sky Showdown. Spencer McLaughlin, Ryan Steinekert with you courtside from the America First Event Center in Cedar City. The winner moves on to the semifinals to take on Fresno State, and the Thunderbirds right now determined to make that happen. Come out here in the second half very similarly to how they started the first.
And Marquise Moore picked up where he left off. SUU with 18 bench points, and still Portland, no one from the bench has scored yet, and that's been a big difference in today's ballgame.
Marquise Moore with 13, Fleming with 3, and Moody with 2. Those are the bench players contributing for Todd Simon's ball club. Fleming, Knight, Moore, Spurgeon, and Marine, the 5 out there. Sholin and Nduka, Austin, Wood, and Robertson, the 5 for Portland, and first-year head coach Chauncey Leggins. Austin, first shot attempt of the second half, and his elevation is unmatched on this court.
Yeah, and again, he gets to his spot, squares his body to the basket, and then elevates. Like you said, he got up so high. Even a guy like Spurgeon would have had a hard time getting a fingertip on that shot.
He's got 19 to lead the way for Portland. Austin's got 4 fouls, so Moore works right around him and scores, and that's smart at both ends. Austin to stay straight up, and the Thunderbirds to get a mismatch.
And if that matchup continues, you go to Marquise Moore every time down the floor. If a double team comes, Moore can find somebody else. If he's left one-on-one, he can beat Austin just like he did.
8 different Thunderbirds have gotten on the scoreboard as the Big Sky's leading offense showing why here at home. Loose ball, bodies going everywhere, and Fleming is called for a foul. He doesn't like it.
And I think what he's frustrated about is that Wood hit him from behind to knock the ball away, and then he hit Wood from behind, so he feels like Wood got away with the contact and Fleming didn't.
Fleming picks up his second. Well, he did bang him on the head there.
Oh, he did, without a doubt.
Incidental contact, but So the first a turnover, but their energy at the defensive end continues to be very high. Trying to find answers for this guy, though. Chris Austin, uncharacteristically, gives it up. If I'm Portland, I go right back to number 5. Instead, it's Robertson, posted up Knight. Finds Austin backdoor, who lays it in. Smooth with the pump fake and showing a well-rounded offensive game here on the road.
Boy, inside, outside, in traffic, he can do it from anywhere on the floor. Chris Austin has missed just one shot from anywhere tonight.
See if they go back to Moore with Austin. He has him in the post. Fleming instead takes it out.
You see Nduka cheating over there. In case they do go down there, he's going to come over and double team.
There it is, just like you called, with 3. Fleming from Curry range. Nduka the board. Pilots the other way. Doing just enough to stay in this game, but they need to find that one run that gets them really close to the Thunderbirds, who have kept him at bay. Wood misses. Foul here against Wood. And a technical is issued, I believe, against Portland after the miss.
But an unobservant eye would think, why is Fleming not getting the technical? Because he kind of pushes Nduka off. But watch how this replay unfolds. Nduka ties up Fleming, and Nick's just trying to get free.
Well, Nduka doing a little acting job there. Maybe that's what the referee didn't like. They're over at the monitor taking a look.
But how about Fleming, the defensive job on Moses Wood, who's 6'8", Fleming listed at 6'1". That's a tough mismatch, 7 inches. That's more than half a foot that Fleming's given up to Wood, but he defends well. Then he boxes out and draws the foul on the rebound.
Justin Shamian, Levon Zakarian, Chad Shepard are referees this evening here in Cedar. So wow. Moses Wood picks up a technical, and they have now assessed another technical. Well, we're still waiting
against
on
Harrison
the ruling.
Butler.
That's what they said, but then the PA announcer was second-guessing himself. Yeah. If there's going to be double technicals, it should be Wood and Fleming.
You would think so, unless we just missed something that happened with Butler.
It looks like they gave it to Fleming. Yeah, so it's Fleming and Wood, the double technicals.
And that's Fleming's 4th personal.
So Fleming with 4 for Southern Utah, Austin with 4 for Portland. Austin's got a game-high 21. Just about half of Portland's points. Knight slivers inside but loses it. 8th turnover of the game for the Thunderbirds. Austin gliding, oh goodness. And this is just not something people want to look at right now.
My.
We're going to go to a break. We'll be back and hope for the best for Chris Austin there. A scary, scary scene here in Cedar City as Chris Austin is still being attended to, protected by a huddle of players and cheerleaders and coaches, and that is a good idea. You do not want to see what happened to his leg. Came racing down the court. Didn't look like there was anything malicious on the play. If there had been, it would have been a different reaction, but just going full speed at the basket, slipped out from under him and landed in a way that has put a chilling hush over this Cedar City crowd right now. Austin, who has been absolutely remarkable tonight. 21 points, 8 of 9 shooting, but right now all the concern for his health and well-being, and this is just the part of sports, Ryan, you absolutely never want to see, especially to this degree, and play has been stopped, and it looks like it will be until they can get the equipment to get him out. He is not able to get up under his own power right now.
No.
They've brought out the air cast for him.
The air cast, Chris Austin, just it's so sad to see that happen. And you know, I mean, it's part of the game. Things like that happen, but that doesn't, saying that and knowing that doesn't make it any easier. This is you described it well, a chilling moment. The crowd, quiet, hushed. It's just, I don't know any other word. Chilling is a great way to describe that.
The redshirt sophomore, originally from Pasadena, started his career at Fordham, transferred over, one of 7 transfers to join the Pilots this year, averaging 14 a game, has been an integral part of the early rebuild that Shante Leggins has gotten underway up in Portland with this Pilots men's basketball program. Guy who, coming out of high school, had an exemplary career with the Marantha Minutemen, CIF Southern Section Championship appearance in 2017. Just a supremely talented guy.
And a leader type guy, league MVP
Yes.
in high school, voted team MVP at Fordham, and a guy that, this bench is going to miss his leadership and his presence on the floor, on the bench, wherever he is.
And it's just such a tough thing to come back from when you see your teammate go down like that. And they've got the air cast on that left leg. And the reactions of Southern Utah players and Portland Pilots alike said it all if you're watching in the moment.
Yeah, the way I happened to be watching Dre Marine grab the basketball and just book it back toward the bench, and the look on his face was terror, and just, that was tough.
Now they're awaiting further medical assistance to get him out of here as best they can. We'll take another pause. Back in Cedar in a moment. All eyes, hearts and minds right now on Chris Austin. He is still down, being attended to by the medical staff.
Boy, in the game that Austin was having today, 8 of 9 from the floor, 1 for 1 from beyond the arc, 4 of 4 from the free throw line, and a rebound. 21 points was, I mean, you said it a couple of times in the first half, almost single-handedly keeping Portland in the game.
And just the level of heart and fight that he has shown and has been so infectious for this Portland team that a year ago, 0-11 in WCC play, a program that in the last 3 years under Terry Porter went 1-42
Wow.
against league opponents, single-digit wins each of the last 3 years. Excuse me, in comes Shante Leggins, 19-15 this year. They're over 500 for the first time since the 2014-15 campaign. They go 7-7 in the regular season against WCC foes, a conference that sent 3 teams to the big dance this year in San Francisco, St. Mary's, and of course Gonzaga. And this a guy who has just been instrumental. I mean, you think about all the people in Portland who have been so hopeful this season and the way it's gone. The first postseason win in program history. These are not small things that they've accomplished in just one season, and he has been right at the center of it, a 14-point-a-game scorer. He has started every game this year that he's appeared in, missed just one for Coach Leggins. He has given it all, and they've brought out something to roll him off the court on.
Boy,
Certainly
Coach,
wishing nothing but the best for that young man.
Coach Leggins has been right there with him from just about the moment it happened, and the look on his face says it all. The concern, the care, the love he has for that young man.
His teammates going to come over and help him up. All the wonder and joy and happiness that sports can bring you. There are highs and there are lows. This a low, but a well-deserved round of applause. A standing ovation from the crowd here in Cedar for a guy who scored 21 points in 26 minutes tonight. and sees his season come to an end in the worst way possible.
Well, and you look at his reaction right now. You can't imagine what he's feeling and thinking and going through, but he's encouraging right now. He's got a bright outlook. He just gave a thumbs up. He told every one of his teammates, hey, go get him, guys. I'm good. You know, it's a kind of an optimistic type feel from him.
A smile on his face. And if that isn't a testament to the young man's character, I don't know what is. A very nice moment from the AFEC crowd here on the campus of Southern Utah University. For a young man who poured his heart out this season for the Pilots, brought them to heights that the program hasn't been in some time. And now the toughest moment in the first year for head coach Shante Leggins. He has to get his guys back playing and focused on the game. They're down 12 with about 13 and a half minutes to play. And, you know, I think back to 2016 and that injury to a Louisville guard by the name of Kevin Ware.
Yeah.
Those Cardinals went on to win the national championship that year. And they say life is 10% what happens to you, 90% how you respond. And we will get a good look here at how this Portland team is able to respond after a chilling moment. So the game set to get back underway. Matija Svetizarevic back on the court. In for Austin. It was a common foul on John Knight. There was nothing malicious on the play. The reaction from the Portland bench, coaches and players alike, would tell you that it was just a hard fall and a hard slip and a bad landing. But we resume action. The quarterfinals of the Basketball Classic. Portland misses out of the long break with Moses Woods. Spurgeon fighting on the deck. And the Pilots get a second chance, and now Spurgeon's on the ground. He's able to get up.
And he dove after a loose ball there and immediately reached back to hold the back of his head. Almost looked like maybe somebody came down on top of him or something.
Or he might have hit it on the ground. I think one thing we've seen for certain, Ryan, is how much this game means to these programs and the opportunity to continue their season and put on that jersey for some of the seniors for a final time.
Yeah, coming out of that timeout, I thought we might see a little bit of a let up in the intensity, but no, we have not.
Robertson misses, and Southern Utah has got a 12-point lead. As a program, they haven't beaten Portland since 1997. This is the first meeting between these schools since 2013. Spurgeon offensive foul, and Duca draws the charge. Todd Simon just stands with his arms crossed as Spurgeon picks up his second personal. There's not a whole lot there. He's not backing down that hard.
And Duca looks pretty solid to go down that hard, but he was in position. He had that position, and Spurgeon initiated the contact.
He and Spurgeon both 225 pounds. Scholand has been way off the mark. A 33% three-point shooter, is 0 of 6 from the floor and 0 of 5 from distance.
And Scholand just looked at his hand like, why do you betray me? When will you get in this game?
Marine pops free. Nylon on the triple. Hasn't had a lot of shot attempts, but he's got 2 threes. And it's a 6-point game for Marine right now and a 15-point Thunderbird lead, their largest of the night.
And again, it's the teamwork, the assist. Butler, little penetration, opens up the shot across the court for Marine.
Robertson answers with a triple of his own. Timeout Portland. That'll take us to the media timeout. Back to a 12-point game. The quarterfinals of the Basketball Classic rolls along in Cedar City after this. Well, the crowd's got their energy back into them a little bit. Thunderbirds moved ahead by 15 a moment ago, but Portland finally knocked down a triple. They had missed 6 straight from beyond the arc.
They've struggled a little bit from out there, and SUU's been great, 50% from beyond the arc, and SUU overall shooting almost 60%. At some point you'd think they're going to cool down, but it hasn't happened yet.
The Thunderbirds in the second half just 36% from the field after an electrifying 69% in the first half. So Portland, to their credit, has made at least some adjustments. Southern Utah's missed a few shots, but the Pilots defensively have started to tighten the screws a little.
Right, and one other thing that SUU does well when they get a lead is then they slow the tempo, right, and eat up a little bit more clock and change that pace, and we'll see if they continue to do that.
Portland brings a little full court pressure out of the timeout. Southern Utah gets it across. Winner takes on Fresno State in Fresno in the semifinals of the Basketball Classic. Spurgeon with 2 fouls, has to be careful. Picked up a charge a moment ago. This time he travels. Spurgeon and Todd Simon both confused, and they'll have a chance to talk it over in the huddle. Still a 12-point game. We're at the under 12 in Cedar City when we come back. The Thunderbirds generally play their opponents even in the turnover department, ever so slightly in the negative this season on a per-game basis, but -4 right now, Ryan, is a big reason why Portland's hanging around in this ballgame.
Right, those 10 turnovers. SUU has shot well for most of this game, but Portland's coming back. They take care of the ball real well and starting to find their stroke from out beyond the arc. And, boy, kind of probably in their hearts playing for Chris Austin right now and wanting to make something happen.
One thing that Portland hasn't done a lot in this game that they usually are exceptionally good at is getting to the free throw line. They're not just the best percentage team in the WCC this year, but they average the most attempts and makes per game. But just 6 for 6 right now as we're at the under 12 in the second half. That's something that I think Portland has to be able to figure out down the stretch. How can they get to the line?
Right, and that does a couple of things. It gets them points, or the opportunity for points with the clock stopped, which, 11 and a half minutes left, not a huge factor yet, but they've also got to, get SUU some guys in foul trouble, maybe force Coach Todd Simon to go deeper on the bench.
And they've also got to make better passes than that one. A total airmail there. And something on the court. One of our referees, Chad Shepard, picks it up. Doesn't want anybody to slip. We have seen more than enough of that tonight. But it gives Portland a chance.
Said one of the cheerleaders' pom-poms
Yep.
shed a palm.
Is that what a single thing on those pom-poms are? Is it?
I have
is
no
it a
clue.
palm?
Yes,
I feel
that's
like,
exactly what it is.
Because I think the palm is the collection of them as a whole. There's one in each hand.
Uh-huh.
So there's got to be a name.
Each individual palm
Like a
makes
hanging
up
Chad.
I have no clue.
Portland sending a double team out at John Knight. Butler, Spurgeon, up top, he can't finish. Pass was just a little low and behind. And so Portland in the half-court trap gets a stop. And the Southern Utah offense has gone cold, producing just 12 points here as we approach the midway point in the second half. Scholand hasn't made a shot yet. Butler pokes it away. Portland is out of bounds. A tough afternoon for the UTEP transfer, Christian Scholand. He is 0 for 7. Shante Leggins wanted a foul and is irate with an official at the moment.
You mentioned SUU just 12 points, Portland just 12 as well. Both these offenses have gone a bit cold, and as defensive intensity has stepped up. Anan Moody might have a speed mismatch right now with Nduka defending him.
Knight gallivants. Oh, look at the Rajon Rondo move as he pirouettes and scores.
He just did a little Steph Curry shimmy afterward, too.
A cheeky move by the redshirt senior. He's got 16. Backdoor goes Robertson. A well-executed set there by the Portland Pilots.
And Duca, maybe an underrated passer, averages almost 2 assists per game and delivered a perfect assist on that play.
Marine, not this time. His first miss from downtown in the game. And again, the game just staying at the margin it was at the half. Southern Utah led 46-34. They still lead by 12. Harrison Butler is whistled here for what is his 3rd personal foul, 5th team foul.
And Butler got tied up with Wood just a little bit as he tried to fight through a screen around that left wing, and a pretty easy call out there, especially with the official about 3 feet away.
Offensive here on Nduka, fighting with Spurgeon. And you understand why the freshman is chippy. He's just 6'5", going up against 6'11" Spurgeon. Well, they're both listed at 225, but he knows that giving up that many inches, you have to be able to be physical and aggressive, and just a little bit overzealous right there as Portland goes to a 1-3-1.
It's been a little interesting to me that SU hasn't gone inside more of a concerted effort to get it into Spurgeon with Nduka defending him.
Moody has been ice cold. He can't buy a bucket, but Spurgeon finds the loose change and puts it in the piggy bank for 2.
Boy, and poor Anand Moody, that thing was half, maybe 3/4 the way down before it rattled out.
Robertson, a tough step through to get up and under. He's got 15 points.
Reminds me a little of Luka Doncic, just kind of smart, real IQ high, or real high IQ, and just didn't look like anything special, but he just made it work.
Butler walks indecisive as he tries to attack, and Southern Utah got inside past the wall in the 1-3-1, which is what you have to do schematically, but you have to be decisive once you're down there or guys will collapse.
And another key for the 1-3-1, which Portland executed well there, is if you get inside the wall, 1-2 defenders have to get dropped down and help on the defense, which Portland did that time.
We've had some tough charge calls here this afternoon that are difficult to call. That was not one of them right there.
No.
Spurgeon was set up to have a cup of coffee before Robertson ran him down. Just his 2nd personal, 7th team foul against Portland. So the Thunderbirds in the bonus the rest of the way. Moody tries again.
Oh.
He is 1 for his last 16 from outside, 42% on the year. Wood, too strong, and Duca the board. Moody commits the foul, 6th team foul. And Moses Wood struggling with his shot in this game, 2 for 10. But his team's still in it. They trail by 12, 7:51 to go from Southern Utah University. You're watching the quarterfinals of the Basketball Classic presented by Eracism. 8 Thunderbirds on the scoreboard, 2 in double figures, and the SU offense that was just a touch under 70% in the first half has cooled off mightily here in the second. Portland just hasn't found that big-time run to get close to the Thunderbirds.
Unfortunately for Portland, they haven't been able to get hot when they've needed to. So with SUU being so hot in the first half, Portland just hasn't been able to catch up. Portland also has yet to get any points from its bench. SUU with 20 bench points.
Robertson to trigger it in. Svetizarovic is back into the game with Robertson, Showlin, Wood, and Nduka. And the Portland offense just can't find the buckets. Southern Utah finally finds the rebound. Marine wisely backs it out.
And that attempt by Robertson, I think he thought he'd get a better look, but Spurgeon just stayed in front of him defensively and cut him off.
Marine's got 2 threes in this one. He's made 14 in his last 3 games, including this one. 8 to shoot for Harrison Butler. Spurgeon puts it on the deck, and that's another offensive foul, the 3rd on SUU's big man from Australia.
I don't know that I've seen a game with so many charge and blocking calls.
There have been at least 8, at least. We still got 7 minutes left, Ryan.
Yeah.
The night is young.
It is.
So they mop up the sweaty spot on the court. And SU picking up full court here. Haven't seen that from them today. I would imagine just trying to get Portland to use as much clock as they can.
Yeah, slow them down, force them. I mean, there's 9 seconds to get across the timeline, and now they set up in the offense.
And this foul goes on John Knight. It's the 8th team foul, so free throws coming for the Pilots. And we talked about this earlier. Portland has been prolific getting to the line this year. They average 15.5 attempts, or 15.5 makes on almost 20 attempts per game. As a team, 79%, but just 6 attempts in this ballgame.
Yeah, and the other thing that does, it gets John Knight III has 3 fouls, Spurgeon has 3, Butler has 3. We haven't seen Fawcett since he hurt his shoulder midway through the first half, so the bench not quite as deep for SUU.
A 68% foul shooter, and Duca not particularly close on the front end. And so Southern Utah can come down and take another half minute off the clock. Using every second of the shot clock that they can. Portland back in the man-to-man. Knight ready to attack, pulls up, got it. He is the highest scoring player on the court available right now. He's got 18. Svetazarevic buries a 3. Svetazarevic makes it an 11-point game.
I've harped on it a lot tonight, but that is the first bench points right there for Portland with just over 6 minutes left in the game.
Robertson commits his 3rd personal foul and the 8th team foul, and you commit it out at half court with your team down by 11. That's just not a foul that the Pilots need to have, nor one they can afford to have.
No, and it was kind of a blind screen there. I don't know if he realized that Spurgeon was coming over to set that screen, but there's got to be better communication from teammates.
Well, if you're looking for personal growth over the course of a season, look no further than Jason Spurgeon. Almost a 70% foul shooter this year, was down close to 50 when the calendar year turned over.
His three-point shooting is improved as well. That percentage has gone up to close to 40%.
Has become a well-rounded big for Todd Simon's squad. Lead back to 13. Robertson is fouled by Dre Marine, and that's just a size mismatch. 6'6", 225 going up against 6 feet, 175. And as we've noted before, Ryan, 6 feet is pretty generous for the Thunderbirds guard.
It is, and Robertson recognized that mismatch. He's got that high basketball IQ. He's got a few inches plus about 50 pounds on Dre Marine, and recognized Marine's going to have to foul me or let me score. So good recognition from Robertson.
Robertson, one of the 3 players who came over with his head coach from Eastern Washington, appeared in the tournament a season ago against Kansas. Accomplished international player as well. Leads his team in 5 categories on the year, and he's up to 17 points.
The Big Sky top reserve last year, and Big Sky 2-time All-Academic.
Onen Moody just having a tough game here this evening. Has had a couple threes rim around and out. That one slips through his fingertips. Shouldn't have had that popcorn, Ryan.
I guess not. Slippery, greasy fingers. Is that what you're?
Yeah, I got a little butter, on the fingers. It's down there in the tunnel, you know, all the time. Maybe he just grabbed a handful before the game.
He might have. Looking for a little energy boost.
Marine gambles. Portland makes them pay. Back to a single-digit affair as Robertson connects on a 3, and it's an 8-point game.
So SUU has slowed the tempo, and they continue to slow that tempo. They've got to get some points here because Portland is pushing, pressing, and they're being aggressive, making things work.
5-0 spurt for the Pilots, who have made 3 of their last 4 3-pointers. Marine works the shot clock down between the legs with a man in his face. A big second chance for the Thunderbirds here, and they can use a little bit more clock. Fans want a foul. Shot clock at 10. Inside of 5 to go. Knight pulls up. This time too strong. Look at him fly in to tip that away.
Wow.
Sprouts some wings to get his team a third opportunity.
He hung in the air. I don't know how he did that because he jumped early as that ball was coming off the rim and just hung up there to tip it to a teammate.
Timer at 4. Marine, Butler, side pocket. Robertson the rebound. 3 chances for the T-Birds, who are now 1 of their last 8 from beyond the arc.
And no points on that possession, but they ate up almost a minute and a half.
Butler on the ground, a timeout called by John Knight, a smart one at that. Butler was on the ground trying to secure the ball, was not going to be able to call the timeout. We'll keep it here, 66-58 our score. Spencer McLaughlin, Ryan Steinecker with you courtside in the AFEC. The energy has picked back up since the injury earlier to Chris Austin, and Portland's offense has picked up as well, finally starting to knock down outside shots.
Yeah, they're shooting 4 of 9 from three-point range in this second half and 45% overall. They've started to find openings, and the SUU's had to back off just a little bit because of foul trouble. Knight the third, Marine, Spurgeon, and Butler all with 3 fouls apiece.
Tyler Robertson has led the way. He had just 6 points in the first half, has come alive for 14 here in the second. 20 on the ball game. He's made both of his looks from beyond the arc, all 4 free throws as well. He's got 7 boards to go with 3 assists and a steal, and a guy who, when you look at the box score, is a do-it-all player for Coach Leggins and the Pilots. He is doing everything he can tonight.
Yeah, and he does that game in, game out. 15 points, 6 rebounds, 4.5 assists, plus a couple of steals, and he's showing that tonight. He's really stepped up on the scoreboard, especially since Chris Austin got hurt.
The Thunderbirds at home this year, 12-3. They were a perfect 14-0 last year in the team's first ever Big Sky regular season conference championship, and the only one they'll have as SU is headed to the WAC as of July 1st. So join the likes of Sam Houston State, New Mexico State, who won a tournament game this year, upsetting the number 5 seed UConn in the first round, gave Arkansas a run for their money, and the Razorbacks with head coach Eric Musselman are in the Elite Eight now, and there are a number of other teams for SU to look forward to in the Western Athletic Conference. But right now their attention is on the team from the West Coast Conference, the Portland Pilots, who have trailed by as many as 15 in this half, but are so very much alive in this game.
And it's just crazy to look at the stats and how good SUU shot in the first half. And Portland's been good in the second half. They've been consistent from half 1 to half 2, but somehow they've clawed their way back in to keep this thing close, and they have a chance going down the stretch these final 4 minutes.
Well, Portland has done all you could ask of them, which is have an opportunity late in the game. After allowing Southern Utah to score the first 12 points, Portland has never led, and the lead was 15 earlier this half, but they are back within striking distance. Setting up the pressure, and Southern Utah gets it across. Moody decides to use clock instead.
Take some self-control there. Just a good execution and discipline from Moody. He was wide open, and that's a shot he takes 9 times out of 10. This one is that 1 out of 10 he doesn't.
There goes Spurgeon working on the baseline. Good defense by a horde of black jerseys. Butler runs a man down, no call. Knight somehow muscles it through. Well, there's the semi-dunk that these fans have been waiting for. A John Knight special, back to a double-digit lead.
Little contact from Sholin as Knight went up. Good solid defense. He just couldn't get the power on that dunk he wanted to.
Moody flies in for the rebound after the Robertson miss. Thunderbirds can give the ball back to Portland with inside of 3 minutes to go if they use the clock correctly, and they have been masterful at doing just this all season long when in this position here at home.
And you open up so many options and just control of the game when you have a big first half like they did.
Marine backdoor, and he finishes 4 straight for the Thunderbirds. The lead is 12 with 3 to go. Wood thinking quickly, and Duca can't make his third 3 of the game.
And how about going back to Jason Spurgeon, finding Marine underneath? So much attention to Spurgeon, double, triple team down there on the block, and he just finds a wide open teammate for the easy bucket.
Spurgeon, who in the absence of Mason Fawcett, who went out in the first half, has a new career high with 15 rebounds, cleaning up on the glass.
He's been huge, and you can see he's tired, but he's given it everything he's got to the final whistle.
So's Dre Marine. Moody has to hoist. That one doesn't go down either. Was online, but can't get it to go, and a foul called against Onin Moody. He's trying to say that he slipped.
Yeah, he's saying the floor needs to be cleaned up in that spot. And you like the effort, but he did get in a little too tight on Sholand as well.
The freshman from Sacramento, Yaru Harvey, is set to check in once they clean up the wet spot, and it's Christian Sholand at the line, and definitely not Moody's fault, but definitely a foul. This is 2 shots for Sholand, who finally sees the ball go through the cylinder. A 74% foul shooter this year is 0 for 6 from the floor. They have missed his offense here this evening, and Southern Utah has capitalized.
And he's been an excellent shooter in the past at UTEP last year, 47% from three-point range. Just hasn't found that stroke this year or tonight.
And another foul. Todd Simon yelling at his guys to rebound, and they put Robertson right back to the line, who's 4 of 4 tonight and 88% on the year. So the Thunderbirds don't box out right after we were praising Spurgeon for his rebounding. It's a team effort down there.
And they put a guy at the free throw line you don't want to put there. He's an 88% free throw shooter.
It was 82% last year at Eastern Washington. Native of Melbourne, Australia. He missed.
I'm not sure what Robertson was thinking there. He hurried that shot a little bit, maybe just felt real confident, but really didn't put in the time to get that shot to go.
Starting to get into desperation mode for Portland, as they're looking at a double-digit deficit, and we wind inside of 2 minutes. A spot in the semifinals of the Basketball Classic on the line. Marine weaves, down he goes, no call. Robertson is fouled beyond half court by Spurgeon, who's leaning over, and that's why the call was made. So that's his 4th, and it puts Robertson right back to the line for 2 shots. This is what you can't afford to do if you're Southern Utah. Oh boy, that might have been a little bit of an acting job.
Spurgeon did reach in, and at that point on the floor, that's just not a good decision by Jason Spurgeon to reach in and contest.
But the foul was whistled after the reach-in. They were getting it for the body contact, and Spurgeon definitely felt that Robertson initiated.
Yeah. And Robertson sold it.
And this is just huge for the Pilots. You get to set up your defense, score without the clock moving.
Right.
It's an 8-point game, still plenty of time, and anything can happen in March.
Again, a good decision by Harrison Butler. Had a chance to try and attack, but wisely kicks it back out to eat up more of the clock.
Spurgeon fires a 3, an air ball. Butler the rebound. He saves his teammate's bacon right there. Moody fires. Oh, this one goes down. 11-point lead with 1:11 to go.
Funny how those go sometimes. I think that was the worst look Moody's had tonight, and it's the first one he hits.
Robertson spins on Butler and softly puts it off the window. So it's a 9-point game. A couple of questionable shots from a Southern Utah team that has been very patient here in the last 6 or 7 minutes of game time to use clock. Spurgeon with 12 on the timer hoists an air ball, and then Moody coming around in rhythm hoists a fall away in the corner right in front of his bench, and if that hadn't gone down, he might have heard it running the other way up the court.
And I think Moody was hearing it from some of the coaches because he gave a motion like, yeah, I know. Yes. Watch this hand motion back toward the bench. Oh, we didn't get to see it, but he gave a just, I know, kind of a palm.
You saw the reaction of Bryce Martin there, the assistant coach, throwing his hands up like, oh my gosh, you've got to be kidding me.
You see that from coaches like Steve Kerr and you know, like Nate McMillan when Trae Young or Steph Curry throw. No, what are you shooting that? Oh, it went in? Okay, fine. What a press break right there for SUU, the longer pass.
Marine wisely calls a timeout. Thunderbirds are not in the double bonus yet. 8 team fouls against Portland, so one more to keep them in the 1-and-1. And so if you're Portland here, you're trying to find the worst free throw shooter on the court, which, as we saw when Mason Fawcett went down in the first half with an injury and has not since returned. Coach Leggins feels that is John Knight III, but tonight, Knight has been 4 of 4 perfect at the line.
Yeah, and if you look at his percentages, you got to figure that Knight might average back out if he gets to the line a couple of times. But then you look at a guy like John Knight III and the resolve that he has, and if you put him to a challenge, he'll rise to meet that. So SUU fans would probably expect for him to hit 1 or 2 of 2 attempts.
Butler, Spurgeon, Marine, Moody, and Knight, the 5 on the court for the Thunderbirds. Butler wiggles that pass to Moody, who lays it in.
And if you're SUU, you don't necessarily want to score that fast, but if you get that easy of a bucket, you take it.
Because once you get the ball in, Portland's going to try for, as there's a timeout on the floor here, you're going to try for a quick steal, but then probably foul, and you're hoping to get what Moody gets here, which is 2 points.
Right, easy 2 points there, no pressure, and you force Portland to use a timeout to stop the clock and draw something up. And what a pass delivery by Harrison Butler. We've seen a couple of those tonight. He delivered a beautiful little bounce pass to Mason Fawcett early in the game, and then a perfect strike on that last pass.
1 timeout remaining for each side. Southern Utah working on their second most wins in program history. Second only to the 2000-2001 team that went to the NCAA tournament. They won 25. Thunderbirds 22-11 this year. Portland, if they can stage a comeback, would have their first 20-win season since the 2010-2011 campaign. In this, the first under head coach Shante Leggins. A complete reset for a program that needed one. And a foul here will put Robertson right back to the line.
And that went really well for SUU to start. They contested the shot well. Marine had a hand in, was it Woods that took the shot? But then coming down on the rebound, that's just a little too hotly contested.
And good to see both teams being very detail-oriented when it comes to wiping up the floor after the slip and hard fall we saw from Chris Austin earlier. Wishing him the best. Robertson 8 of 9 at the charity stripe tonight. Another one coming.
How about Robertson? 26 points, a few more. His career high is 31, but he's had a great night tonight.
Makes it a 9-point game. And a turnover in the backcourt. Marine gave it away. Robertson fires. Portland wanted a foul, did not get it. Coach Leggins is irate as a foul is called at the other end. Coach Leggins is out on the court. He cannot believe there was no call. There was something, whether it was the ball or the hand, hard to tell from here, but that is not a normal Tyler Robertson 3, a guy who's 2 of 3 from beyond the arc tonight and 35% on the season.
I was surprised we didn't get a whistle there. Spurgeon a little too tight contesting that shot, especially given the situation and the moment. It wasn't a lot of contact, but I thought we'd hear a whistle.
Two shots here for SUU. They're in the double bonus. Fleming is back in. Butler goes to the bench. to a healthy round of applause from the Thunderbird faithful here inside the AFEC.
Harrison Butler, not huge, 5 points, but those 6 assists, 4 rebounds were huge for the T-Birds.
Onan Moody has not missed a free throw since January 1st. Wow.
You know what you just did? Oh.
Proved how mentally
how
tough
good
he is. Made it through. 11-point lead, 30 seconds. Got to be threes here for Portland. Instead, it's a turnover. Marine wheels it back out. And the Thunderbirds season will stay alive. Win number 23 as the crowd rises to their feet. Encouraged by SCU head coach Todd Simon. Southern Utah is moving on to the semifinals of the inaugural presentation of the Basketball Classic. They'll take on Fresno State. 77-66 the final. Coach Simon gets rid of some demons against Coach Leggins from their time coaching against each other in the Big Sky, picks up a win, and the Thunderbirds continue playing basketball in 2022. Stick around for the post-game wrap-up. We will hear from SCU head coach Todd Simon. That and more coming up next when we come back.